Is there something that you do when things go wrong and they start to pass your hook?
Absolutely. Like, for example, one thing, for example, if I'm here, like a lot of times I connect my hands and I don't even get a chance. If I can get this and this, I feel like I win that fight 9 out of 10. But sometimes before I go, they begin to pass exactly that way over there. So one thing I can do, if you really beat me all the way, is I get this underhook. Because even if you put me flat on my back, you're not holding me down. I'm out of here. Okay, so it's a great way for me to get my half guard or to get to my knees. So long as I win that underhook fight, it's still a failed attempt, but at least I'm not in a bad spot.
Right.
Okay. Another thing, when I'm here and you start moving around, I can move myself back too. So if I don't like that, there's nothing stopping me from aborting and just moving my butt back. And if you insist with that hand there, you know, so that hand could be it's a double-edged sword for you.
Okay.
It could be worked really well because it clears this leg out of the way. But at the same time, only if you beat my hips. Because right there, yeah, if you beat my hips and you step around my leg, you got me every time.
Right.
But if I manage to move my butt back. So it comes down to that butterfly hook popping out or not. So it works both ways.
Right.
Let me see. Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't, like this is one of those things. When I started working on it on my students, I was getting it 10 out of 10, just killing people. But after you catch someone like 5 times with it, they kind of, okay, I got that one figured out. And then that's when you raise the bar.
Right.
Now you have to come up with something to counter their counter. And that's how you get better, you know. So when I teach this stuff, I tell my students what to do to beat me, because I want to raise the bar. I want to make it harder for myself. Sometimes it hurts me because I can, some of my students give me a really hard time sometimes, but it's still worth it. That's how you get better.
But still, the best strategy is to get around that hook, right?
Yeah. But that's by far your best option. I mean, of course, I mean, from your perspective, you wouldn't even let me get that deep. Like, I would never let this right here happen to begin with.
Right.
I win this head fight. Yeah, I keep this distance right here. Personally, I don't even like to pass butterfly on my knees. I think being on your knees is great for if you're up on points and you just want to buy time. That's a great strategy. As far as moving forward, I don't think you can move forward on your knees. I think that you're too slow on your knees. You have less options. I normally teach passing with one foot up or both your feet. Never on your knees. The only time I'm going to be on my knees is if I'm in half guard or side control or mount. Other than that, I'm on my toes the whole time. I'm a lot faster. But yeah, from your perspective, like not let me get there. And a different thing you can do instead of fishing with for this leg is pinning this leg down. Or if you can get a hold of my ankle, this would kill me. That's probably the best grip, because there's now that even like nothing, I'm always going to be a step behind you. Even if I move my butt back, it's still, you see, you're still a step ahead of me. This would be my favorite option because it pins me down too. I can't really move that leg. That being said, it's not always easy to reach for that foot when you're passing someone's butterfly. So it's a fight. Yeah, and another reason why I like the butterfly so much, because it allows me to try. I mean, I don't have just these transitions. I mean, there's so many different things I can do from there. There's so many different options as far as sweeps and omoplatas and triangles. I feel it's more aggressive in a sense, more than a closed guard, for example. Because a closed guard, there's nothing really stopping my opponent from posturing. When I play my butterfly, especially if I'm playing overhooks, it's inviting. You want to come in. If I give you this underhook, like few people move back. They want to move in. They want to start passing, which is exactly what I want. I want you coming forward. So it's a preference thing. I play overhooks more than I play underhooks. Just for that reason, because it's inviting. If you play underhook, they always back away.
Right.
They always move back. No one gets, underhook on them and tries to move forward.
Set upon the majestic backdrop of Red Rock Canyon, Robert reveals his thoughts on his transition from BJJ World Champion to an MMA contender and his plans for the future.
So Robert, you were at the top of the jiu-jitsu world, and then you made the move to MMA. What prompted that?
I guess I've always been the kind of guy that's motivated more by the challenge than by the actual accomplishment. It's not so much about where you get or what you accomplish, more about how you got there. How do you climb that mountain? It was not just about getting up to the top, And I feel that in jiu-jitsu I had done everything I wanted to do, and You know, like MMA is something I've always enjoyed watching. I thought it's probably the reason why I started training jiu-jitsu in the first place. So I just wanted to see how far I can make it. You know, I think that I'm the kind of guy, I'm so hard on myself that, you know, like when I'm 67 years old, if I had only done jiu-jitsu and never even tried MMA, I would have been like frustrated. Even if I had gone on to win 10 world titles, 10 Abu Dhabis, I would still look back and go, I didn't even try. You know, like I'm that kind of guy. So I have to at least give it a try. I'll see how far I can make it, and you know, if I make it far, I do. If I don't, I don't. But you know, I feel like I owe it to myself to give it my best, and let's see what happens in there. And I think it's part of jiu-jitsu in a way too. You know, I think it was Marcelo Bering that said back in the day that you weren't a real black belt unless you've been in a fight. You know, I think that's an extreme way of looking at it, but there's something to be said. I think a lot of guys out there today, they kind of jiu-jitsu became such a sport and such a highly competitive sport that we see guys that are specialized in deep half guard, but they can't do a takedown to serve their lives. So like, you're a world champion black belt, and you can sweep anyone from a deep half guard, but you can't take anyone down. So to me that's strange. That's not. I think there's something missing as far as that goes. So I wanted to do it for real against the best in the world. And if I'm able to retire one day and look back and say, hey, I was one of the most competitive, one of the best grapplers with the gi. I was one of the most competitive guys, one of the best grapplers no gi, and I was one of the best in MMA. I competed at the highest level in MMA. You know, I'll be able to look back and say, you know, I competed at the highest level in 3 different sports. So I'll feel very accomplished and very happy with myself.
You have a perfect record of 4-0 right now.
Yeah.
How's your experience been so far in those fights?
You know, like every single fight, I always plan on striking with people. Like that was the plan from day one. And every single time I step in there, I'm like, why? Like, why even bother? Like, why even take any chances? That's the thing about striking. That's like the one element about it that I don't like, is that it's more of a gamble. Like in jiu-jitsu, for you to get me in a choke, you have to take me down, you have to pass my guard, you have to mount me, you have to control my back, and then you get a choke. So there's a process. You don't get, I mean, you can get lucky in a grappling match, but that doesn't really happen. It's normally you have to win a number of battles before you can get that win. Whereas striking, you can close your eyes and go like that and knock someone out. So like, I don't like a 50-50. I don't like 50-50 odds. I don't like 60-40. I don't like 70-30. And I feel it on the ground. I have a 99-1, you know, odd of winning the fight. So I just want to get to the ground as soon as possible. So they were all, you know, more or less brief fights, which in a way is good because, you know, like I just go and do my thing, do what I don't know how to do best. On the other hand, you know, I didn't get much experience. So I've had 4 fights. I had an amateur fight, so 5 fights total, and total 6-7 minutes experience. That's not a lot. So, you know, the plan is always like, at least, you know, hang with this guy on your feet a little bit. But as soon as I see the takedown, on the other hand, I don't see the point of waiting. If I see the takedown, I know I can tap you. Why? I'll feel so stupid if I'm going to spin around with you striking, and then something like this happens. The guy just closes his eyes, throws an overhand, and knocks me out. Like, I don't want that to happen, especially if I know I can take you down. So that's kind of where I stand. And so far, you know, I've been successful. I want to step it up. I think my next fight will be coming up sometime before the end of this year. And I don't have an opponent yet, but I would like to have a UFC vet. I'd like to get someone a little more experienced. I think that will count more for the UFC. But yeah, so maybe a UFC vet. Let's see what happens.
And looking out further, 10, 20 years from now, what do you think you'll be doing?
It's a tough, you know, I mean, I think that standard answer is like, I'll be running a school and I'll be training fighters and, you know, I'll be, you know, taking care of my kids and all that. But I don't know. You know, I don't know. I really don't know where I'm going to be. I enjoy teaching. I love, you know, being able to share jiu-jitsu. It's like, you know, one of my favorite things in the world is just be able to teach and share my knowledge with people. And then when someone wins a fight or they win something with something I show them, it makes me so happy. So it's something I don't see myself moving away from completely, ever. But at the same time, I don't know if that's the only thing I ever want to do. You know, a part of me, like, I'm so deep into jiu-jitsu my whole adult life that in one way, I kind of wonder, like, oh, there's so many other things I could have done. So many, like, I feel like I have so many other talents that weren't developed because I was hyper-focused in jiu-jitsu. And I see my other friends who, you know, didn't go on to do like one thing their whole lives. I feel that in a way, they experienced life more than I have. So to me, it was like jiu-jitsu. When I was 18, I didn't care. I mean, I wasn't even chasing girls, man. It was all jiu-jitsu. It It was like, what about that new sweep? That's what I was thinking of. I wasn't, so it was, in a way, I didn't get to do other things. I mean, I don't know what life is like outside jiu-jitsu, but like that, if it weren't for jiu-jitsu, I had no idea who I would be as a person or what I would be doing if it were not for jiu-jitsu. Like, I have no clue. And that kind of makes me wonder, like, oh man, what else can I be good at? Like, what else can I do in life? What else would I enjoy in life? I don't know, because I've never given anything else a shot. So that's like the one thing that makes me wonder, like, maybe I could do something else when I retire. And I don't know. I think about, I'd like to learn how to play a musical instrument. I'm fascinated with music. I love music, but I don't know how to play any instrument. Something like that. I think about going back to school, getting a master's degree, whatever. I don't know. But I don't see myself ever really moving away from jiu-jitsu and MMA, because they're two things that I love so much.
What do you want to be remembered for in jiu-jitsu once you're retired?
I think if I ever am remembered, I hope that people that knew me remember me above all as a good friend. Someone who shared the passion with them, and someone who enjoyed jiu-jitsu with them. And I hope people remember me as a good training partner. I hope people remember me as a good role model for my students and for kids. I hope that I hope that people see me as like, oh, that's someone who had a positive effect on the sport. Like, he did something for jiu-jitsu, even if it wasn't a lot. I don't think anyone could do. The sport jiu-jitsu is so big right now, and so many people put, including you guys, everyone's put something into it. And if I can be counted as one of the people who put something into jiu-jitsu to make it a better sport, then I'll feel accomplished. I don't have any. I see other guys doing well, and I don't get competitive. I'm happy. When I see, whoever it may be, and I see his school doing well, or I see him winning tournaments, like, man, I'm so happy for you. I'm good for you, man. I kind of see myself in him too. Like, you have the same passion I do. We have so much in common. So him winning is kind of like me winning too, because we share so much. So if people remember me as someone who just had a positive effect, a positive impact on the sport, then I'll be happy.
For those other 18-year-olds that are out there that, like you, have a solitary focus on jiu-jitsu, what advice would you give them?
Keep it up, man. Keep it up. I think that it's at the end of the day, a smart thing to do is to have a plan B. Everyone should have a plan B. I didn't, because I wasn't thinking about it. I was so obsessed with jiu-jitsu, but things went well for me. Things don't go well for everyone. So a plan B is not a bad idea. But that being said, just if you really want to do it, if this is really your passion, then go 100%. Commit on 100%. If you commit 99%, is not enough. 99% is not enough. Like, you have to fully commit. You have to dedicate your life. You should be thinking about jiu-jitsu when you go to bed. Think about jiu-jitsu when you eat, when you're in the shower, when you're driving your car. You think about jiu-jitsu all day, man. You just dream of it. Dream of it. I think dreaming of jiu-jitsu is probably the best thing you can do to improve your game. I think being in the gym is not enough. I think you have to dream of it. I think you have to be thinking about the sport like it's the only thing in the world. Like, winning the world championships is by far the most important. It's if you think about it, it's not. There's so much more, But in my head, that's like, it's the Olympics. Well, that's nothing. World Cup, what? Winning the lottery? Well, nothing to me is even remotely as important as winning the Jiu-Jitsu World Championships. And that's how you have to think. You think about it, it's almost from on the grand scheme of things, and think about life as a whole. It's just trivial, but if you're really committed to it, then that's how you have to see it. It's the most important thing in the world. There's nothing more important than that gold medal.
If you could go back to the teenager Robert Drysdale, would you change anything about your training or anything?
Some things. I think that I was very stubborn as a kid. Like, I did listen, but I had my own. I had things set in a way in my head, and a lot of times I was reluctant to change my mind. Like, I was a guy that whenever class started, and I'll call it drilling time, I'd make an excuse to go to the bathroom and not drill, because I hated it. Like, whenever someone was showing a move, I'd do it 2 or 3 times, sit in the corner, like, man, when can we train? I wish I had been more disciplined as far as that. I wish I had, eaten better. I wish I had. It was really bad about, like, when I was younger, I didn't eat after I trained. I think I could have put on a lot more muscle, if I had eaten after my practice, which is something that's standard. You finish training, you drink your protein shake or whatever. I didn't do that. I'd get in a car and drive for 2 hours, get home, shower, and then eat. Essentially, like 3 hours after I train, which is about the worst thing you can do to your body. So things like that, But as far as decisions that I made, I don't regret a single one of them. And I don't regret any decision I've ever made, just because I'm happy with where I'm at right now. Like, life is good, man. Like, life does not get better than this. Like, this is as good as it's ever going to get, and I know that. So I mean, if I had done anything different in the past, maybe things would have turned out different for me right now. And I can't imagine my life being any better. I get to do jiu-jitsu for a living, man. People pay me to travel the world and teach jiu-jitsu. I used to dream, when I was a kid, I used to dream about traveling the world. Now I get paid to do it, man. That's as good as it's ever gonna get.
Ready. All right, okay. Nice. Well, that's the same one I do. That's good. That's good. Good man. Okay. Go ahead, man. Flexible. I don't want to plot.
Thank you. That's one of my favorites.
I do the same thing, especially like because the less you move your hip, the closer I am to this leg. Right. You can't let me wrap this leg. This is the way I got out.
Oh.
And then I went
and turn to this side.
Because at that point, I don't care about your foot anymore.
Right.
This is, so when you kick that leg over, you gotta make sure I don't wrap this knee.
Okay.
So even, yeah, that's perfect.
Right.
It's only when I get, you see that?
Do you like cooking this leg though? I get that one a lot, but this leg comes out weird if it doesn't.
No, yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that one.
Right.
I do this, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it before, but I get this a lot, man. When guys try to stand up, 2 different ways you can do this. This way, okay? Problem with this one is that they always block your foot.
Right.
Yeah, so what I normally do is I go 1, 2. That's a killer. That's a killer. Like the one, I got some dudes that they know this move, that they did to me exactly what I did to you. Wrap that bottom leg, and then kind of throws you off a little. But one thing you could do there, and I've gotten away with this a whole bunch, is when I get my omoplata and you're climbing over this leg, if I feel I'm not going to win this fight and I can get on my right elbow, I can turn. And if I turn, I still got you, regardless of where your arm. So you can even put your knee over here. Put the knee on the ground. This one, step over. Like put it on the ground. Yes. I don't care how close to me you are. You see, if I feel like I can't win this omoplata, I open up my arm, and now it's on the shoulder. You feel that?
That's awesome.
Problem is, it's not always easy to get your elbow when the guy's driving forward.
Right.
That's the downside to it.
Right.
In spite of the glitz, glamour, and distractions of a city like Las Vegas, Robert has proven that having an extraordinary amount of focus, a strong work ethic, and determination has been the difference between hitting the jackpot and getting rolled up.